Diddy's sons, Christian and Justin Combs, have been named in lawsuits linked to their father's alleged activities. Additionally, photographic evidence has surfaced showing them at so-called freak-off parties. But what was Diddy trying to tell his son in their leaked phone call? And are his children following in his footsteps?
The pattern throughout all these lawsuits is eerily similar. Diddy and his team would allegedly drug or spike the drinks of victims before Diddy and sometimes others sexually assaulted them. There are also allegations that Diddy forced these victims to have sex with prostitutes as he touched himself. He called these situations freak-offs, and oftentimes he recorded them. Here's where some of the allegations against his son Justin Combs come in. So all this takes us back to February, when Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod, filed civil suit against Diddy. In his lengthy lawsuit, Lil Rod straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, naked next to a sex worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise.
In his lawsuit, Lil Rod also alleged that Justin Combs was involved in covering up a drive by shooting linked to Diddy. The filing includes photos of Justin at one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, along with claims that he helped procure sex workers for his father. What kind of person would exploit their own son in this way?
Lil Rod's civil suit points to more accusations against Justin Combs, too, for his involvement in an alleged shooting cover-up. According to court documents, it happened on September 12, 2022, outside Diddy's Chalice Studios. Lil Rod says Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend who went by G were all there when things got heated. Lil Rod says he heard multiple gunshots ring out and later found G on the bathroom floor in the fetal position. Lil Rod says he was bleeding out of his hip and leg area. Lil Rod says he was applying pressure to G's wounds and then asked the crowd to call an ambulance. At that point, both Diddy and Justin Combs disappeared to another part of the studio. Diddy then gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. So that specific allegation involves Diddy's son Justin, but another allegation and entirely separate civil lawsuit involves his other son Christian, or King Combs. Grace Omar K alleges that Christian Combs sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022, and she says it was facilitated by Diddy.
To make matters worse, it's not just Justin who has been linked to Diddy's alleged crimes. Christian King Combs has also been named as a defendant, this time in connection to a rape case. A lawsuit was recently filed by 26-year-old stewardess Grau Marcu, who claims that Christian Gropin sexually harassed her after drugging her with laced drinks at one of Diddy's yacht parties.
And she was 25 years old at the time. She believed that the trip would be a, quote, wholesome family excursion, but says it, quote, turned into a hedonistic environment, even describing rampant drug use among sex workers and celebrities who came on board. She believes that the alcohol on the yacht had been laced with drugs because she says women would have one drink and then almost immediately pass out or start falling over. This is, by the way, something that it was also alleged in Jones's lawsuit, that Combs would spike the drinks of different people. But focusing on Christian Combs, Markey says that Christian Combs had been staying at a villa on the shore, but that he would come onto the yacht in the evening to party. And on December 28, 2022, Christian reportedly arrived very intoxicated and then proceeded to pressure Markey to take shots of tequila. She did. Christian allegedly tried to get her to drink more in the yacht's makeshift studio. Markey alleges that Christian kissed her neck, kissed her face, as he groped her legs, breasts, and private areas.
Nate Yesson and Christian Combs are the only ones who still visit Diddy and attend his bail hearings, while the rest of his children have distanced themselves, fully aware of the kind of person their father is. However, Justin and Christian remain loyal, not out of love, but because they know that if Diddy goes down, they go down with him.
were waiting to get this hearing started. It was interesting too, because this time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court. But you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there, and the caretakers of his younger children, who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today. But his mom also wasn't in court today. So when Diddy came inside, it was still that standard issued NBC jumpsuit. He's wearing khaki. From that video of, I think that was obtained by Daily Mail back in September, of Diddy playing hacky sack in Central Park, to now, he appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner, and maybe being locked up in detention is starting to wear on him. He appeared grayer a little bit as well too, but again, he appeared just like how you would expect Diddy to appear for a hearing.
Diddy's sons aren't stopping there. They're allegedly involved in trying to hide evidence related to his case. Courtney Burgess, a close friend of the late Kim Porter, has been working to publish Kim's final memoir, which reportedly details how Diddy was running the entire operation. However, the only ones trying to block its release are Diddy's children, allegedly not to protect their father, but because they want a cut of the profits.
Here is the other thing with Mr. Burgess. He apparently says he owns the rights to a book that was reportedly based on the alleged memoir of Kim Porter. In fact, according to TMZ, Burgess' phone was seized by the feds, and on it was a copy of a flash drive with material that was used in this book. Here's the problem. Christian and Quincy Combs, these are the sons of Diddy and Kim Porter. Quincy's actually adopted by Diddy. But they are reportedly fighting back, and they have sent Burgess a cease and desist letter to prevent the further sale of this book. They argue this is just an attempt to capitalize on Porter's fame, and that they own the rights to her IP, her intellectual property, like her diary entries or potential manuscript. As her heirs, they own it. And they also want an accounting of current sales of the book. To be clear though, they aren't acknowledging that there is in fact a long-lost memoir from their mother. In fact, they've actually denied that before, when there was a similar book, a derivative work, we'll talk about that, published by this guy named Chris Todd on Amazon. They were adamantly fighting against that. They said that their mother wouldn't write this. But what they're basically saying is, if something should exist, they own it. Burgess has responded, saying he owns the copyright in the book.
A leaked call between Diddy and one of his sons surfaced recently, right around the time prosecutors accused Diddy of using his associates to contact witnesses. During the call, Diddy reportedly used coded language to instruct his son to dispose of evidence. Take a listen.
Diddy's prison phone call just leaked, and it was posted by Social Details. This is allegedly a call that he had, and there's a lot of talk, a lot of code words in there, so we're going to listen to it together. Check it out.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm going to need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over.
Now, this alleged leak call from Diddy in prison was talking about getting rid of pizza boxes. Now, if you know your stuff and you're privy, you know exactly what pizza stands for, and that's probably what they're talking about and referring to on this alleged leak call. Pizza, for those who don't know, I'm gonna make it very clean. It has to do with children and selling.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Now, in this alleged phone call, he starts talking about someone named Jay. People are speculating that maybe Jay-Z, but there's no confirmation. At the same time, he talks about recycling plastic. I don't know what that could mean. If you guys have any idea, comment and let me know.
Everybody out there quiet as more. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
I mean, it seems by the call that he's looking for help. He's saying that a lot of people are quiet against people that are on his side. and that he's gonna have the last laugh at the end.
You think I wasn't gonna get at you from the inside?
He has reached out to a witness, an alleged participant in multiple freak-offs.
Then why Oprah staying quiet? Why Ellen moving to another country?
And he's asking people to intimidate witnesses or pay people off.
Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify. Don't contact me anymore, pup. I already got that Houston lawyer breathing down my neck over that 13-year-old girl. If you don't want things to get worse for you, then you need to start answering my son's phone call.
The defendant's goal is to blackmail victims and witnesses either into silence or providing testimony helpful to his defense.
New York is having a problem with leaks in this Diddy case, with alleged video of the court hearings already on the internet and leaked phone calls where he's calling witnesses. Things are getting out of control. You won't believe what he says on these calls. Recently, the DA released that Diddy was contacting witnesses from jail, and they were saying this is the reason that he shouldn't get bail. He was using other inmates' phone calls to three-way people who would then call the witnesses, and that's who he spoke to over the phone. Also, in a weird turn of events, the DA who brought these charges against Diddy is suddenly resigning from his position during the biggest case of his career, and that is strange. So let's break down this insane phone call that we found online. Legal disclaimer, people, I'm just a guy that reacts to stuff I find on the internet. So as of right now, everything is rumors, gossip, or opinions of others. Everything in this video is just alleged.
Prosecutors have presented recordings of calls between Diddy and his family members, in which he allegedly asked them to add witnesses and victims to the call so he could threaten them. As a result, Diddy's bail has been denied 3 times, with the latest ruling stating that there is nothing he can do to secure his release before trial.
New details this morning in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now claiming that from behind bars, Combs has been trying to reach out to victims and possible witnesses. And ABC's Phil Lipoff is here now with this story. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyers trying for a 3rd time to get him out on bail, but this time, the prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims. This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any wrongdoing. The government now asking a judge not to grant Combs' 3rd request for bail, in which the music mogul offers a $50 million bail package, citing new evidence and changed circumstances.
The connection between Diddy's alleged crimes and his sons only gets more disturbing. Former artist Freddie P., who once worked with Diddy, claims he witnessed suspicious behavior between Diddy and his stepson, Quincy Combs. Allegedly, Diddy had been grooming Quincy since he was a child.
That nigga named Freaky Man. I look at his kids and everything. It's more deeper questions that I be wanting to know. Like, why were you so infatuated with a child that wasn't yours? Were you grooming that little boy? I don't even want to start those conversations because that's not your child. You know what I'm saying? And for you to keep him that close, it's like you kept him that close because he might got your secrets, because he's not your child. So if he's not your child and you that type of person with that type of character, you don't mind actually doing it to him when he finally reaches a certain age, because he's not yours. And you know in your mind he's not yours. And now you keep him real close to you. You make sure he don't go to his daddy. Why? You make sure he's separated with him and you provide him with everything he wants. Why? You got one of them little Michael Jackson secrets. He got one of them secrets that he can't tell nobody, because his legacy, his manhood gonna be, and not only that, his brother no gonna look at him crazy. Only Puffy know, only God and Puffy. Quincy, right? I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, I don't know.
I'll be sure, son.
All I'm gonna say is, who's infatuated with another man's son like that? Like, you guess that seemed like grooming to me.
Videos of Kanye West speaking with Diddy's sons, allegedly discussing strategies to help Diddy, were recently posted on X, formerly Twitter. Kanye even tweeted about working with Diddy's children to raise funds for him. Meanwhile, those speaking out against Diddy have started receiving calls from individuals claiming to be close to him. Since Diddy is behind bars, the only ones who could be orchestrating this are his sons. It seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And you right about Diddy's phone being tapped, because news came out that his former bandmate from Dirty Money, she called the other group member Don 58 times trying to get her to stop the lawsuit against Diddy.
She ain't the only one he was trying to get in contact with. You understand? He sent somebody through somebody else to try to get in contact with me, telling me enough is enough. Oh, okay. You tell Big Mama that enough is enough. You can't tell Wolf Mama enough is enough. You tell D Ferg Mama enough is enough. You understand? You tell all those people who supported you and they survivors, enough is enough.
You didn't tell me about that. So he tried to get somebody to reach out to you?
No, I got a phone call from Kirk Burrows. And Kirk Burrows, and I ain't gonna give this guy no play. Not Kirk Burrows, but one of the Puff dudes that I know that's real close to him said, Kirk told me, yo, he wanna reach out to you, Gene. He wanna speak to you. I said, speak to me for what? What do you want to speak to me for? If he's trying to speak to me, it's for Puff. Point blank. I know the dude. I know how close he is to Puff. He's been with Puff from day one. So he ain't got nothing to say to me, bro. But Kirk Burrows did say to me that the dude said enough is enough.
Diddy's family knows that without him, they're all at risk. As part of his proposed bail package, his entire family was willing to surrender their passports and even put up their $48 million Miami mansion in an attempt to secure his release.
The proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, and his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's going to be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic, I think it was very smart.
Why is that not a fair outcome?
What he did here is on a magnitude of unlike anybody else you could imagine. A week after these public searches were televised, he gave us his passport. His children gave us his passport. He then paid off the mortgage entirely on his Miami home. $18 million. It's instructive that he's going to have a bail package ready so that if he was arrested, he would have something ready so that he could get out the next day and show the judge he's taking this very seriously, which he is, which is why 12 days ago, Chris, when we thought there's an indictment that may be coming, he flew to New York the very next day. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He has done everything somebody under investigation can do. I can't think of anything else that he could have done. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's going to be able to show it.
Diddy is facing decades behind bars, and federal prosecutors suggest that even more names could soon be linked to his case, including members of his own family. He is currently in jail on charges of alleged racketeering, trafficking, and transportation for the purpose of prostitution.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Now, earlier in the day, prosecutors outlined some of the items seized when they raided Diddy's homes. That included AR-15 rifles, ammunition, and images and videos of sex performances Diddy allegedly organized. Let's go to Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, former federal prosecutor, joining us tonight from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us today. Are you surprised that he's being held without bail, and what does that tell you?
I'm not surprised he's being held without bail because these are very serious allegations, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, some of which carry mandatory 10-year sentences in federal prison. That means the judge can't go lower than amount. And of course, we know that Diddy, at least allegedly, according to the indictment, has threatened some of these witnesses and tried to bribe them. So given the nature of the charges and the fact that there's a presumption of detention for some of them, Diddy is being treated just like any other criminal defendant, despite his fame and his wealth.
8 of Diddy's infamous freak-off tapes are now in federal custody, with more expected to surface. Courtney Burgess, CEO of Alter Ego Records, claims these tapes contain footage of Diddy engaging in sexual acts with minors, who also appear to be under the influence of drugs. According to Burgess, the only person close to Diddy who tried to stop him was Kim Porter, and she was the one who originally provided these tapes.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appear to
Let
be
me rephrase
right,
it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah,
meaning this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
Even Diddy's legal team has admitted that these tapes exist. However, in a surprising twist, they now claim the footage actually proves Diddy's innocence. This is a shocking turn of events, especially since the same lawyer who previously insisted the tapes were fake is now acknowledging their authenticity, while arguing they work in Diddy's favor.
They write, quote, "Having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes film their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself. And we believe, by the way, victim 1 to be Cassandra Ventura. This is Diddy's ex who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit against Combs back in 2023. She was in that infamous surveillance footage that was published by CNN of an incident that happened in a hotel hallway where Combs is beating Ventura just while wearing a towel. It's a very disturbing video. He argues the videos don't show any orgies or celebrities or violence or coercion or threats or manipulation or evidence of anyone being under the influence of drugs, that this is not sex trafficking. Quote, the premise that freak-offs are inherently dangerous shows that the government seeks to police non-conforming sexual activity and that it assumes, despite all evidence to the contrary, that a woman's willing participation must have been coerced. That's interesting because that's something we've long suspected, that the defense is not going to shy away from the term freak-offs. They might accept, yeah, Combs called these freak-offs, but this was entirely consensual. It was all in the up and up. It might be different to you and me, but there's nothing illegal.
There's a chance that Diddy's sons might attempt to flee once they realize he's not getting out. The conditions Diddy is facing behind bars are brutal, and judging by his reaction, he may start cooperating with authorities if things get worse. If the pressure mounts, Diddy's sons could even turn on him and testify in court.
What does Diddy's foreseeable time behind bars look like? He reportedly only gets 1 hour daily of recreation and 3 showers a week. He served breakfast, lunch, and dinner that is delivered to his cell. But instead of extravagant meals he was once accustomed to, he can expect foods like egg noodles, cereal, chili, peas, and if needed, there are reportedly vegetarian options as well. But if those foods don't work, NBC Brooklyn's commissary list has a list of additional foods and snack items, including a 6-pack of Hershey bars for $7.05, peanut butter for a little more than $3, stuffed chicken with rice for $5.75, plus more options. Diddy was once a staple at New York's biggest fashion event of the year, the Met Gala, and a frequenter of fashion weeks across the globe. Now will be forced to wear clothes not from haute couture, but instead a switch up to essentially sweats. For extra clothes, he can purchase a sweatshirt for a little more than $16, New Balance sneakers for about $55, boxer briefs for a little more than $6, plus a bath towel and washcloth set for about $12. And while confined to a cell for 23 hours a day, which is a huge difference from throwing now infamous parties, to pass the time, Diddy can purchase an MP3 player for a little under $90. But according to reports, he has a spending limit of $160, a huge downgrade from the millions he was seemingly spending prior to his arrest. The once self-proclaimed bad boy will have to get comfortable with his new home.
Beyond Diddy's sons, federal prosecutors have hinted that many more names will soon come to light. Celebrities, politicians, elites, and even pastors are expected to be exposed as the investigation unfolds.
Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders. I mean, little those micro projectors or whatever like that, or video cameras. They found them in the house, bro. So by them having those things in the house, and people know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, woman on woman, man on man, all kind of crazy shit. Bruh, they just wondering who or when they're gonna let this stuff be known, if it's on videotape.
Yeah, man, I know they gotta be shook, man, after finding out he was recording everything.
But not only celebrities, I don't think it's only celebrities gonna be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
Diddy's legal troubles are only getting worse, and now his own sons are being dragged deeper into the chaos, with mounting evidence, denied bail, and even his legal team struggling to control the narrative. Things are looking more dire by the day. Will Diddy's sons remain loyal, or will they betray their father to save themselves? And if these tapes are as incriminating as prosecutors claim, could this be the final nail in the coffin for the entire Combs empire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.